Hi everyone, welcome to Live Free and Tool On. On this channel we do tool reviews, we do DIY, we really like to help people out. And today we have something very special for everyone. We're testing out some of the most popular circular saws on the market. We have house brands, we have professional brands, we have homeowner, we have them all. But this isn't just a normal test. We're going to be doing a hands-free weight pull test. So this means there is no input from the human. So you're actually going to see how these actually perform. Let's take the human element out of it and let's get right down to brass tacks. Alright, now let's check out the contenders. First up we have the Milwaukee 6.5 inch blade, 18 volt. This spins at 5,000 RPMs. Next up we have the Metabo 7.25 inch. This is a 36 volt, but it works off the flex volt system. So the battery is a 18 volt or a 36 volt. It just varies the amperages. This is a fantastic tool. This spins at 4,300 RPMs a minute. Next up we have the Kobalt. This is the house brand for Lowe's. This is a very nice tool. Runs off of 24 volts where it is a 7.25 inch blade. This spins at 5,500 RPMs. Next up we have the house brand for Home Depot. This is the Ryobi, brand new. This is the HP 7.25 inch circular saw. This spins at 4,300 RPMs per minute, runs off the 18 volt platform. And last but most certainly not least, this is the Skil 6.5 inch. Now this is a pretty cool tool because Skil is revamping their line. I want to support them, I want to give them a shot. The stats on this is 5,400 RPMs. And I can't wait to see how it performs. I really want to give it a shot. And now you may be wondering why I'm mixing 6.5 inch with 7.25 inch. Well, basically, let's see who's the best. This is a professional tool here, so we're going to see how this works on the spectrum of 6.5 inch. And then this is a homeowner grade tool on the spectrum for 6.5 inch. These are these are both house brands. This is more of a homeowner type of tool. This is more of a prosumer slash homeowner. It really bridges the gap. And then the Metabo, this is geared towards professionals. So once we get into the test, I think it's really going to shine the actual performance of these. Now let's talk about the test. We have a very interesting test, and the best way that I can explain it is really let's take a look at it so you have a better understanding as we roll into it. Okay, so this may look a little crazy, but I assure you, this is the best way that I could find to test out circular saws without having human input, or at least user input. So basically, as you can see, we have a circular saw here. We have a frame, which is a ramp that mounts here that sits right on top of wood. Below that, we actually have a couple 2x4s, and it allows the saw to cleanly pass underneath, so there's no wood underneath of this wood. And then you have a stop here. Now down below, this is a sleigh, and I have 10 pounds hooked to that sleigh. This goes straight down here, and we have rails so that the weight doesn't actually fall off, which is pretty nice. Now the whole premise is that you set the tool up, you start the tool, I latch the tool together and I have a clamp, and then you just let it go, and it'll cut all the way down until it stops here. So it has a constant 10 pulls of weight on it. Now the cool thing about this is roughly, I would say, 12 feet long from this point all the way down. Now we don't travel all the way up, but this track is 6 feet and this is an 8-foot piece of wood. So we do have a lot of linear space in order to test everything out. Now the angle of this is 25 degrees, so we have 10 pounds at 25 degrees. Now as we take another look, you can see this is actually pretty steep, and you have the constant pressure here, which is really nice on the saw. Now here's the type of clamp that we're using. It's pretty much just a typical electrical cord clamp that you hang them on, has an eye hook, but it works really nice. If we just take it, we stick it on. I'm going to take this battery out. And all you do is you pull it closed, you pull the safety here, and now it's fully latched and it's autonomous. It just runs straight down, which is awesome. And then when you're done, you simply hit the button it releases it and it shuts it off. To show you a little bit more detail on the track that I made, so this is a saw track. It can be used on anything, and also it can be used for any type of saw, including a jigsaw or really any type of circular saw. I custom made this, and it works just like this. So it's adjustable, so one side moves back and forth pretty easily, and that adjusts from your 6.5 to your 7.25, and then multiple different manufacturers as well. So it works, has a thumb nut here that you can just tighten or you can loosen, and you can move it about any way you want to. So that's how I'm switching this to make sure that I have the right distance in between each circular saw so we can move down the line accurately and safely, or at least as safe as possible. Before we get into the testing, let's talk a little bit of the material that we're going to be cutting into. This is 3/4 inch MDF, and all that really means is that it's compressed small wood fibers, and if you will, this is kind of like recycled cardboard and really small fine sawdust as well, and they compress it together, makes really strong, really dense wood. Now the great thing about this is it doesn't have grains and it doesn't have knots, so whenever you're cutting through it, it's very consistent. So we're not going to put the saw through it and all of a sudden hit a knot and it slows down, because that could change the outcome of the results. So we want to have a very consistent base. Now first we're going to cut 3 different cuts. We're going to have 2 cuts where it's just the MDF 3/4 inch itself to get a good consistency. But for the last cut, we're going to double this up. We're going to have 1.5 inches of the MDF, and we're going to see how far they can go. Now, the rip cuts, they're going to be 4 foot long. Hey, before we actually get into the test, I just wanted to let everyone know we're using 4 amp-hour batteries for all of these saws. All of these saws are also brushless motors. The only one, this is a 4 amp-hour battery at 18 volts, but this is a 36 volt circular saw. And with that, I believe that the wattage goes down on this to right around a 2 or 2.5 amp-hour battery. So I think they're all pretty much on a level playing field, and we're going to see some really good results coming out of this. Okay, so that was really interesting. I was surprised on the performance. I can tell you right now, the Metabo, it came out on top, and that was awesome. You know, kudos to the Ryobi. It came in second. The Milwaukee came in third. 4th place, the Skil saw, hey, it came in. But the big surprise was that Kobalt couldn't keep going. Now, I know it has a lot of power. It's a big circular saw. I mean, the RPMs are really high on this, but I couldn't believe that it actually couldn't make it down. So, you know, for this one, I tried it multiple times. I know in the video you're not seeing all the times that I tried to keep it going, but it had to have been over 3 times that I just tried to get it started again and again. It just wouldn't happen. So on the next one, let's go ahead and try the test again. And you know, this time we're just going to use a 3/4 inch MDF again. We're not going to double it up, and let's see how they do again, just so we can have a pretty good baseline. Alright, so as you can see, I left the Kobalt out of that test. And again, we had the same results. We have Metabo coming in first, Ryobi coming in second, Milwaukee coming in third, and Skil, well, this was an interesting one because this one actually stopped as well on this one, but I got it restarted and it finished it out. So kudos to it for keeping up and really staying in there. But again, we have some pretty consistent results. Alright, for the next test, here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to double up the MDF, and this is 3/4 inch each, so it's going to be 1.5 inches, true 1.5 inches of MDF. Okay, for that one, you know, the results, they weren't as surprising. We had some good telltales moving into it. The Metabo, it cut it like butter. That was no problem. Ryobi, hey, it cut it. It was slow, but it still came in second place. The Milwaukee, you can see it was struggling a bit, but it did power through, which was awesome. I did want to put the kobalt back in there, but of course it just couldn't make it past even a foot. And then the little engine that could, well, it couldn't this time. The skil saw was not able to make it. I gave it a couple shots. It just wasn't able to do it. So all in all, I think as a benchmark with a constant weight upon it, you can see the differences between house brands, homeowners, and a couple pro tools here as well. It's a pretty interesting situation that we have just with the test results. I was pretty surprised. So I really hope that you all enjoyed the video. I hope it was entertaining. If it was, please consider subscribing. Please consider hitting the like button. And hey, I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye now.